I think firstly, it's an idea whose time has come. And I think working with the Super Diversity Institute on this is an amazing opportunity for both of us. Why is it important? Well, we know the quality of decision making, whether it's on a commercial board or statutory board, it is enhanced. Decision making is enhanced when you have diversity on the board. So we know that at the moment, the environment is primed to receive people from diverse backgrounds onto boards. And I say that because the Public Sector Act now makes diversity and inclusion a central part of everything government does. And the government is really committed to making sure that they have diverse statutory boards. That's within its remit. It's a strong commitment from the government to do that. So it's an idea whose time has come.
I agree. And I was looking at the Royal Commission into the Mosque tax and its criticism really that the public service, as well as the private sector, really doesn't have the cultural capability and the ability to deal fluently with our very super diverse population.
That's exactly right, May. And I know this is something you've been advocating for a long time. And from my perspective, it's just basic common sense that when a board is making decisions, it needs to make decisions that are sensitive to the community it's serving, whether it's a commercial decision or whether it's one that makes a difference in a social impact sense. It's important to make sure that you're making decisions that impact on the community. And you can only do that well if you've got diversity on the board. And the other thing I think, which is well proven through many decades of research, is when you have diversity on a board, you actually get better decisions, higher innovation, higher productivity, better problem solving, better profit as well, as we both know. So I think for these no-brainer reasons, it just makes sense to have diversity on our boards.
So we've kicked off, and this is the first super diverse directors list. And there's been a wealth of talent out there. So talk to me about how you found the whole process. We've had over 300 applications and it's only the first year.
That's right, May. I think this is the thing about working in partnership with you and others. It's to make sure that we get people who are talented and capable and are board ready to be channeled to the ministry so we can play our role in advocating for them to be nominated onto and appointed onto various boards based on matching their skills with the criteria that the board has around, the appointee. So yeah, I think this is what the ministry is trying to achieve, working with you and others, is to get all these talented people that you've been so actively doing into the ministry. Put up your hand. Come in, advocate for yourself with our support as well.
So talk to me about whether the ministry now has visibility of people who are diverse that it didn't have visibility of before. Has this initiative worked?
I think at the moment we're getting a number of people coming through the partnership with Super Diversity Institute. The next thing, I guess, your question, May, about, is it working? Well, yeah, we're getting the candidates through, which is working. The next real challenge was is to get them onto boards. Yes, so yes. That's a challenge that community working with government can achieve. Just push the agenda and eventually we'll get there, hopefully not too long.
So Mervin, talk to me about your vision for the Ministry of Ethnic Communities. What is it that you would like to achieve in your time at the helm? Because leadership is so critical to whether or not a ministry like yours is going to make a difference.
I think that's absolutely right, May. Obviously, the ministry has a huge challenge ahead of us. We're very fortunate to have been made a ministry because that significantly ramps up our ability to influence across the system of government. So my vision for the ministry is that we are a center of excellence of ethnic diversity. So a policy maker that needs some help, maybe it's on a perspective on the ethnic communities that they don't have, we can support the development of that advice for them so they develop the right policy that meets the need of the community, that we can help agencies develop services with CQ or cultural intelligence incorporated into what they do, so they meet the needs of diverse communities. So that's for the ministry, but ultimately we do all of that to improve the well-being of ethnic communities. We want ethnic communities to be included, to flourish, to thrive, to unlock their potential for New Zealand. There's so much ethnic communities and broader communities can do when they work together. And I think the ministry has a huge role in facilitating those connections and unlocking that potential I mentioned before.
Mervin, we couldn't have done this initiative without the Ministry of Ethnic Communities support and partnership. We've put a super diversity framework around governance in Aotearoa, New Zealand. How do we now put a super diversity framework around government and around the private sector? How do we put a super diversity framework around Aotearoa, New Zealand?
That's a very good question, May, and it's something that I intend the ministry to work on in participation and collaboration with a lot of other players. In my thinking, the government's got a commitment to making sure that we are, inclusive and, diverse and inclusive. However, in terms of so that capability needs to be built. And it starts with, first of all, making sure that the public sector is representative of the community. At the moment, we're not. We're not for a number of communities, and particularly for ethnic communities, we're not. We're also not at senior levels of government. So a person like me, there's not, there's only one of me actually. I hope in the future there's a lot more people like me who are chosen on basis of merit to do a range of things across government, not just population-based agency work. And the other area where I think we need to make a big difference is in policy making, that we have much more ethnic diversity within population agencies. So that's the first step, May. The other thing is developing our CQ, our cultural intelligence, so we know how to navigate different cultural values, different perspectives, different worldviews in a really competent way that really gets the best outcome for New Zealand. So there's a lot of work to be done, May, including, I guess, assessing where we're at in terms of our cultural capability in the public sector and where we need to be and the steps we need to take to fill the gap.
I was so excited when you got appointed because I realised that things were going to happen in Mervin. So put out a challenge to the super diverse out there. There is now a ministry, and what is it you want them to do in engaging with the ministry to make things change in Aotearoa, New Zealand?
May, I think one of the first things I did was to pick up the phone and talk to you, right, about nominations, because I thought, look, you in the Super Diversity Institute under your leadership, working with us can make a difference in this space of getting more boards to be diverse. So that's the first step. But I think for me, I see it in a bigger picture in terms of we get the best outcomes for New Zealand when communities work with government and the private sector to get the best outcomes for New Zealand. So in my mind, it's not just depending on the ministry to do a whole bunch of stuff. Communities have a voice. Communities, for example, the nominations work we're doing right now to get people onto boards, they need to put their hand up. They need to be resilient. They need to say, we want to change decision-making by getting onto boards. So that's the first step. Then they work in collaboration with us. We say, okay, we're going to nominate you onto all these boards and cross our fingers that you get appointed because we have a vision with you to get you onto those boards. So that's the second bit. Then the third thing is being resilient because, sometimes you may not get appointed. I've met some people, May, who've tried again and again, and then they finally got on and they said, well, thanks actually for making me persist because nothing like this comes easy. We are all on a journey of change and our push to make that change is what eventually makes it happen. So that's in the nominations, getting people onto board space, but there's a whole range of spaces around social cohesion, developing businesses, all those things, generating more economic opportunity for communities. These things need to happen through working with the ministry and other agencies to get things to change. If government can't do it alone, community can't do it alone, we need to work together to make those things happen.
Absolutely. There is an obligation that we have to make sure that we are change we want to see. Mervin, I just want to salute you. I'm very excited that you're in the role. Things are happening already all around us. We are in a time of change, my friend, and I am just so grateful that we can partner together because without the Ministry of Ethnic Communities, this initiative would not have happened. And I think it will change the dial, Mervin. So it is good to see. Thank you, my friend.
May, I know we're going to keep going for it and we'll get some change. We will.
Kia ora.
Yeah. Kia ora,
Ka
me.
kite.
Thank you. Ka kite. Thank you. Bye.